We had our first round of storms come through, which was very heavy rain. But this part of the storm system clearly has enough spin to warrant those tornado warnings. A new warning issued, still not our area yet, likely out of caution, just given that that's been confirmed. Still keeping a close eye on that. If that does dip into our area, believe that we will cover it. Start thinking about your plan. If you're out ahead of the storm system, Columbia, Ellicott City, confirmed here again, so that tornado warning still confirmed. We'll cover that when it gets closer to our area, but I want you to start getting in the mindset, really our entire area, especially closer to the state line. Where am I going to go if a tornado warning's issued in our area? You're going to go to the lowest level of your house. Keep in mind that there's a lot of rain falling here too, so if your basement's prone to flooding, a factor to consider. There's a lot of heavy showers inside this, and then put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You don't want any glass because debris will obviously break that, and then it becomes a projectile. So Allie's flipping back over to our velocity product here. Just some generally stronger winds here, but our one warning still goes here for another 15 minutes at least. I'll likely see it through just given the nature of this system, the potential to produce confirmed tornadoes. What would be that couplet looks a little bit tighter, the only area. See how everything's a sea of red? Then there's one spot where you have a little bit of green. Again, if there's spin, it's on the north side of Perry Hall now and in between Perry Hall and Baldwin. The storm's moving northeast, and they've been very slow. 30 minutes now we've been talking about this storm system with just a few cities, White Marsh, Perry Hall, Falston, Baldwin, Joppatown, and then up to Bel Air. So this is crawling. I would like to see them move a little bit quicker just to get out of here, but for now, that rotation clearly moving off to the northeast a little bit more. Some lightning strikes inside there, and then visibility is really bad inside this with some big raindrops, heavy rain to work with, ponding on the roadways, street flooding, and not to mention if that is breaking tree limbs, sticks, a lot of gutters get clogged too. So an added concern here tonight with the timing of it, everyone trying to get home, the heavy rain, and then of course the stronger winds and the tornado warning still in place. Any updates for us here tonight, Allie?
Chris, they still say that it's radar indicated. No ground truth. I'm sure they're really focused on that one out in Montgomery County that is confirmed because they have seen the tornado on the ground. We're seeing social media pictures. I will say we are getting some very gusty winds moving with this. Moving over Perry Hall. We have just trimmed, of course, I-95 out of the warning, but it's mirroring 95. So just, of course, to the north and west is where it is. So we were keeping an eye out on it. I'm going to name some of the communities that are impacted, but we keep mentioning this storm is very slow moving. I mean, it's moving at 15 miles per hour. You just think about your car, you know, when you're driving, basically when you put your car in drive, you're almost maybe tapping the gas just a little bit to get to 15. I mean, it is not really moving out there. So we're seeing a lot of heavy rainfall being dumped into these communities, also some frequent lightning strikes. This warning does continue until 7:45, so we do have 13 minutes left, and we will continue to track it until it expires. Radar indicated, of course. Some of the communities I will mention again: Bel Air North, Bel Air South, Falston, getting into Kingsville, Pleasant Hills. This will be noted pretty close to around 7:30. We're a couple minutes after that. It also include the Glen Arm community, the Fork community, the Benson, Baldwin, Long Green, Upper Falls, and Hides. Get to your safe spot, take cover now. Once the warning expires, you're free to do whatever you need to do, but make sure you have that phone ready and able to get weather alerts in case there's another warning, since we have just storms that continue to train over the same areas. I'm going to zoom back in and we can see if we have any things continuing. Oh, actually, Chris, it looks like we have a new tornado warning for Carroll County.
Let's jump over to that if we can. We'll get the latest. Why don't you pull up the timing of that, Allie, and we'll zoom into it a little bit more here. Again, just crossing over to Carroll County, as Allie said, it's a testament to these storms. Now we're going until 8 o'clock here. Again, they're spinning fast. There's very little warning that they'll start to do this, and then suddenly we'll get a quick hit that this is starting to spin. So here's Westminster, Mount Pleasant, McDaniel College. This is just north of this. Heavy rain inside there. Can you pause this, Allie, and flip over to velocity? These are very tough to pick out on reflectivity because the storm looks like such a mess. But where our rotation would be right in here. This has been a signature of these storms all night. We'll get a spike on our velocity color. That's that bright red starting to show up. And then what would be a little bit of rotation here. Again, on the south side of that warning, tracking to the northeast. So this goes until 8 p.m. We have another about 25 minutes on this, but see how short of a warning it is? Normally we'd see these extended out really far. That's a testament to how slow moving it is. So we're talking by 8 p.m. just getting to the edge of this. As Allie draws out a tracker here, she'll do its speed on the storm system. Really the only one in target of this here now is Mount Pleasant, but I will say Westminster, especially if you're on the north side or in between Mount Pleasant and Westminster, that would be our area of concern, almost right here. If we could tighten that box a little bit, that's where I'd draw it. So a couple of tornado warnings to juggle here. We'll spend some time on this one because it is the newer warning. I want everyone inside this box to be in their safe spot. Again, take precautions with this storm. These have had a history of producing confirmed tornadoes already, and this has been an area where rotation's been pretty common. We've seen these storm systems spin up really quick. Some brighter red showing up there, even getting into that white color. That's likely up to 60-mile-per-hour winds. Even if it's not a tornado, clearly strong winds showing up on our radar, and damaging wind is damaging wind, and we're likely meeting that criteria here. Not to mention, driving those heavy raindrops at a speed of 60 miles per hour gives that wind a little more density. A lot of trees have completely leafed out now. That often gives more landing area for those raindrops to pull some of those tree branches down. Allie, a couple things we could get a check on this, and even if the control room could help me out here. Any power outages being reported around the area? Are we seeing any signs of damage? I know we have a camera at McDaniel College in Westminster. That's likely just on the south side of that. But if someone could start working on that, I'd appreciate just getting an update here. And if we could zoom out just a little bit more, Allie, let me get the bigger picture because juggling two warnings is going to be a little tough. We'll sort of have to go back and forth. This warning goes until 7:45. We have a confirmed tornado warning on our doorstep, not in our area yet, and then this new warning now in Carroll County, which goes until 8 p.m. We're going to stay with this as long as these warnings are in place. I want to make sure everyone's safe. Even if you're not inside one of these warnings, clearly these spin up very quick. So have a plan, start thinking about where you'd go, even up into parts of Carroll County, some stronger storms still working their way through. This is a part of a system that's spinning on a bigger picture. So the rotation's there, and that's why we're getting these warnings in place here tonight. But two areas in our viewing area to keep an eye on, a third right on our doorstep, plenty to watch. Any damage reports coming in, Allie? Are we seeing any kind of confirmation of these? I know that one storm's still confirmed, but it's getting closer.
Yeah, Chris, it is still confirmed, the one out, of course, in Montgomery County as it inches closer to Howard County on the doorstep. We haven't seen anything confirmed with the two in our area. Likely they're just spin-ups. We see some very gusty winds, and they're rain-wrapped. We have very heavy rainfall around these storms. I am going to give you the information, though, for the Carroll County storm. This will go until 8 o'clock, so we have some time for the storm to continue to push on through. At about 7:35, a dangerous storm was seen near Westminster, and we can see that on radar just in front of us. This is moving, of course, at 15 miles per hour. So another snail speed of a storm that's dropping very heavy rainfall, and it continues to push off to the north and east. And it was located near Westminster. I mean, it's moving as we speak, just off to the north and east. I'm going to, of course, get to the other storm that we continue to look at for Baltimore and Harford County. That has just been continued as we speak. I'm going to read the new information for that right now. This will go until 8:15. So we've now extended another 30 minutes on top of the original warning. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Perry Hall or near Middle River, moving northeast even slower, Chris, now 10 miles per hour. Some of us could maybe, if we're sprinting, could move faster than the storm altogether. So if there is a tornado on the ground, it is not moving very fast. So it could definitely loft up a lot of debris at one time. And of course, both are still radar indicated. We have not gotten any ground truth on either of these two storms. The Weather Service has definitely focused on the one on the ground, which is out in portions of Montgomery County, which is understandable. You know, we have imminent danger imminent danger. And we are also watching for the storms in our area because they could lead to that, Chris. I'm going to zoom back into the one that was just reissued till 8:15, the one in Hartford and Baltimore, so we can take a better eye on that one.
Yeah, let's dissect that storm, Allie. We'll get a little bit closer here. We'll look at reflectivity first. I want to just see if anything jumps out to me. And I'll say a testament to your 10-mile-per-hour moving. I mean, we're clearly in for a marathon here. The storm system's in no hurry to get out of here. So be patient with these storms tonight. I don't want fatigue to set in. I know that we've been calling out a lot of these areas. Bel Air, you've heard your name a lot, especially Bel Air South. The storm is still coming. It's just really, really slow and almost taking a jog to the east here, which is likely why they shifted. So you have the original warning here and then the new warning a little more to the south, probably to account for that quick jog east that the storm did. You can see it almost fanning out closer to Edgewood, more in line with Joppatown here now. Perry Hall, so close. Give it a few more minutes, and this is getting a lot better, I promise. Still some scattered storms upstream. And then, of course, watching that second tornado warning between Mount Pleasant and Westminster. But pause this for a second, Allie, and let's go over to our velocity product. Yeah, right east of Perry Hall. Again, one of the more pronounced velocity couplets we've seen. And what I mean when I say that is an area of green and red on our radar getting a little bit closer. If there is rotation, right there on the east side of Perry Hall. A lot of these have been on the south side of the warning. So if you're closer to the south side of that warning, that's the area of concern. This did cross over 90 now, or is very close, right on top of it, or 95. So if you know anyone along that interstate or takes that route to and from, give them a heads up because it's just jumped the interstate. And with these types of systems, what we could typically see is a spin-up drop, lift, and then re-drop. This has clearly gone through pulses tonight where it's strengthened and then weakened a bit more. But the brightest colors there, right here, our area of greatest concern, is almost east of Perry Hall and then cycling back toward White Marsh. As this made its jump east, it sort of dropped south here too. So heads up Edgewood to Joppatown, right along 95. We'll likely track east of the interstate here now, but that's a clear area of rotation there as Allie draws out a track for us. Joppatown in about 16 minutes, Edgewood just under 20 minutes. Start making plans now. Know what you're going to do if that warning gets closer. Just be ready to act with this system and stay there for a bit. Get comfortable because this has just been one of the slowest moving systems, slowest moving tornado warnings I've seen in quite a while. Let's go back to our other warning in Carroll County. Allie, that's the latest on this system. Stay hunkered down here. We're almost through that if you're in Perry Hall, but then lining up off to the east as well. Here's our other warning, which is moving a little bit faster. I can already tell that rotation's moved off to the east a little bit more, is mostly through that. This goes until 8 p.m., and as I say that, it makes sense that they would trim that warning here because that strongest part of the storm moving on the north side of Westminster, tracking toward the south side of Mount Pleasant. Everyone in between at greatest risk here to see stronger winds. If there is a tornado there, it's right there where Allie starts our tracker. Goes off to Manchester in about 27 minutes. Slow moving, but our rotation right here near Westminster, McDaniel College. Thankfully, a lot of the college students have gone home, but on the north side of Westminster there. Allie, I know we have a camera there. Are you able to pull that up quickly if it's not too much? Or even if you want to step over to Weather 2, pull it up there. We can go back and forth on the control room as we look at this a little bit closer. It's just often helpful to see the storm in its whole. We're looking at our correlation coefficient. So this is our debris tracker. We were talking about this with our system an hour ago, which was showing up a little bit brighter. What we don't want to see is blue colors showing up, and that's a little more scattered. I'm not as concerned about that. But thankfully, nothing jumping out to me here where it's looking like debris being lofted high up into the air. This is usually a product that we use to say confirmed that we see it. And my friends at the control room, we do have Westminster pulled up, McDaniel College on Weather 2. If we could take it for just a moment, we don't need to stay on it long because I don't see anything overly concerning. But this is a camera just south of the tornado warning as we flip over here. So a lot of what we call scary looking clouds, a lot of things sort of hanging down. These are scud clouds. That's usually a feeder into this system. Thankfully, I'm not seeing anything overly concerning here, but we'll keep a close eye on this. Let's just leave that camera pulled up here. Let's go back to Weather 1, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. This is just south of that warning, McDaniel College and Westminster, so likely just out of the area of greatest rotation. but thankfully nothing showing up on correlation coefficient here. Allie, give me another bigger picture here. We're looking at a couple of different warnings. I want to make sure that we're keeping everybody covered here. With this set of tornado warnings, still the confirmed one, which has shown no signs of slowing down, and that storm system that we just looked at. So we will jump over to this. As soon as that warning crosses over, if that storm's still sustaining itself, we'll be sure to get on that pretty quick. That purple flashing box, you may be wondering, this red here, that's a tornado warning. When it's purple, that's a confirmed tornado. That means that they've had eyes on it, a spotter has seen it, there's been damage reported, so we're keeping a close eye on that. Let me zoom in here a little bit more into Bel Air. And Kelly, I just want to check in with you real quick. I know you don't have a mic on. Perry Hall resident, have you heard of anything?
I talked to my family. The rain was there for a while. It seemed to be overly windy, but it moved out probably about 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, good. And that's great to hear. Our resident Perry Hall, Kelly Swoop, standing by, just graciously brought us water. I appreciate that. Thankfully, we're not hearing of a lot of damage reports. That's what we want, but that system did sit over Perry Hall for quite a bit. Again, right along 95, there is an inflow. It's right about here going north of Edgewood and near Joppatown. I'll be curious, Allie, any talks about them extending this warning or issuing it a little bit farther south? It almost looks like the damaging part of that storm is riding right along the southern portion of that warning.
Yeah, Chris, so far they really haven't spoken a whole lot about this specific storm. I mean, we can see, of course, throughout the last couple scans that it is riding on the more southeastern portion of that box. I do want to make a note. Yes, this is the system that is out of our area, but it's eyeing Howard County. That Montgomery County Emergency Management has seen the tornado on their traffic camera at I-270 and Maryland 117, and they've seen power flashes on their camera. You don't normally see a tornado being picked up on camera like that. If you know anyone in Montgomery County, far portions of western Howard County, make sure they are aware. I mean, this is going over a major thoroughfare, and it's really causing a big scene out there, likely a lot of damage, as they've mentioned, about 11,000 feet in the air, and it's right on our doorstep. So once it continues, I mean, we've already seen it continue to move over a fairly populated area for a long time, and these are very slow moving systems. I will go back again to the one that we are tracking right now. Still not a whole lot of updates, but it is until 8:15 this evening, the one right here that continues to move up. Still some lightning strikes eyeing 95 as we speak, just to the north and west of Edgewood, to the southeast of Joppatown. Eyeing 95 as we speak, as it continues to move well on through. I'm going to change over to see one of our other products if we're getting anything. Let's take a look at velocity. You can see it looks like just to the south of the warning box, and it could just be lagging a bit. Very strong winds. I'm going to sample that too so we can see exactly what's going on and see some of that reading out there. That looks like almost 50 miles per hour, and 53 is the latest scan. I'll move out of the way so you guys can see that a bit. 53 just to the south, right along the Baltimore-Hartford line. And you can see it's moving right off to the north and east as we speak. I'm going to clear that away, and we'll also go take a look at the other storm, Chris. I'll bring you back in for that as I zoom back out so then we can zoom back in.
Yeah, we're watching a couple of areas here too, and I know this gets a little tricky with watching multiple places at a time. Gaithersburg area, can we pull that up? It's my producer in my ears, got a picture from Gaithersburg. We've been sent images here. Yeah, it's a dark storm cloud, and likely what's even looking like a shelf cloud. That's colder air rolling out of this. You can see the contrast between light and dark is likely that top of that storm rolling over the bottom, which is a testament to not only how heavy that rain is, and you can see that there on the left side of your screen where it gets sort of that blue color, heavy rain, even some small hail inside there, and a lot of storms, or a lot of clouds being pulled up into this. And you can see it just crawling, actually, as this goes along, that storm getting pushed around and almost getting carved out. It looks like, or like a spaceship. That's a good indication that there's a lot of spin in the atmosphere, a lot of rotation. So something to keep an eye on there. Thank you for that. We'll flip back over. Allie, you got a quick update?
Yeah, I was just going to say, talking about that picture that we saw, the one from Gaithersburg, that's the one that the Weather Service has said is the confirmed one. So while that picture, the one that they have, it looks like is a little bit more advanced to the picture we just showed, but that is the confirmed one where they saw the power flashes earlier. So that is moving closer to Howard County, and we'll keep an eye out it as it continues. The Weather Service did say that they are continuing, though, the one for Harford and Baltimore County that continues to move, the one that we continue to track. I do also want to note that I've been taking a look at the broader scale right behind me. It also looks like, Chris, something maybe to watch right here in southern Carroll County, also northern Howard County. It's getting a bit brighter. So we know that they have warned areas that have gotten pretty bright towards the tail end, so it might be an area to watch for soon. So if you're in those communities or know someone that is, let them know that a strong storm with gusty winds is headed their way. Not necessarily tornado warned, but it could end up getting there. So we want to make sure everyone's safe.
Okay, we'll go back to our Carroll County storm, if you don't mind. It looks like that one's getting close to the end of its warning. I know that went till 8 o'clock, so technically still got 10 minutes left. But I'm happy to say that's looking much less impressive and even reached the end of its warning there. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's either just allowed to expire in 10 minutes. So we'll focus a little bit less on that. But I just want to give areas like Westminster and Mount Pleasant in between an all clear there as the strongest part of that storm. Give me a quick look at velocity. We don't need to spend too much time on this because it's outside the warning now, but I just want to make sure that nothing, looking a lot better. So I feel better about that storm system. We'll go ahead and clear everyone in between there as the stronger winds move off to the northeast. If you're still in the path of that, take precautions, but thankfully outside that warning now, and I would be surprised if that gets reissued. One we'll watch. Another area here north of Butler. This storm starting to show up a little bit more. No warning yet. Keep a close eye on that. 51-mile-per-hour winds. Wouldn't be surprised here. This is the same area, Allie, that had our 6:45 p.m. warning we were covering about an hour ago into the 6 o'clock show. We'll keep a close eye on that. Give me big picture real quick. Just want to do an update on all the scattered storms that we have. 2 warnings in our area, 1 just outside. Because this is getting so close to the end of this warning, Allie, can you give me a quick zoom in here? I just want to give the communities that are not in the warning yet, but very close to the storm, heads up. Start thinking about your safe spot. Even if you're into Columbia, I know it's still pretty far to the east. It'd be on the south side. Areas like Laurel, Highland, Clarksville, not in the warning yet, but this is the storm that's had confirmed rotation where we just took that look from. It'll be heavy rain first. If there is rotation, it's normally on the end of this here. This is a supercell, a standalone thunderstorm that has been sustaining itself really well so far and is tracking off to the east, but almost sort of taking a right turn. And what we mean by that, if you track its path from west to east, if it starts to turn a little bit south, that would be the storm turning to the right. It gets a little dangerous because that means that it's spinning quite a lot, enough to knock it off track. And I would even be ready in North Laurel and in Laurel, and even South Laurel. If that storm starts to turn a little bit more, heads up. But that would be the south side of Columbia into Jessup eventually. These storms are moving really slow, but that's been the storm that's been confirmed, the one that Allie was talking about earlier that lofted debris up to 11,000 feet. And if we could even start thinking about traffic cameras along this path too, those live looks really help when we're talking about a rain wrap system like this. You can sort of see that signature here near Cooksville, but we're watching that close. So that's just an early heads up, not in a warning yet. If this system can sustain itself, that warning's coming very soon in the next couple of minutes. Why don't we go back to our Baltimore County tornado warning, which was looking a little bit better earlier, but still continued. You said that went again until 8:15, so still in place. And they've really tightened this up. It's an area of rotation that's relatively pretty small, but where it is spinning enough to do some damage. We could flip over to our velocity product again too. This is the way reflectivity looks. That's looking at rain total, the density of the storm. What we want to sample is some of the winds inside it, which have still been pretty bright. And if there is damage there, it's likely right around here where Allie's sampling some of those winds. As it goes through its loop, gets up to about 55 mile per hour. Even if that's not a tornado, that's still enough to do damage. Strong wind to strong wind. So heads up Edgewood, south side of Joppatown. We'll stick with that as long as that's in place. And even beyond with that confirmed tornado warning moving in, I want to make sure that we're ready to cover that. in case that starts to strengthen. A lot of lightning strikes pulsing up in this. That's been the nature of these storms. With winds out of the south, they have enough to fuel themselves and then start to fall apart quickly. Hopefully that's the case here, but just crawling here tonight. Give me a bigger picture here, Allie, and if you see any sort of wording that they're going to issue that warning ahead of that confirmed tornado, feel free to jump in here. That warning's dropped, went till 8 p.m., still in place, but through 8 p.m. Not as concerned about that. So I know there is a tornado warning still in effect there. That storm system's cleared out of this. Likely got their hands full at the National Weather Service just juggling these two warnings like we are here, but I'm here to tell you that if you're in that warning, you are clear. That storm's moved well off to the east and is in fact weakened quite a bit. What often happens with a line of storms like this, so you see this sharper cutoff, it's the southern end of the storms that we often worry about. You can see the example here and here. Because these winds are being sustained with, or these storms are being sustained with winds out of the south, the ones on the southern end of this line often get the strongest part of the inflow, of the energy that they need, and there's nothing really to muddy up the water ahead of it. So this is likely getting choked out by this stronger storm system, which has just been sapping all the energy. A lot of that rain started to cross over the tornado warning. We haven't seen it reissued yet. As long as they have eyes on it, they'll keep that box purple, which means that that tornado warning is confirmed. The red boxes are enough to say radar indicated. We're looking at our velocity product. It looks like it's spinning, but we don't have eyes on it yet. Allie, you got an update for us?
Yeah, I have an update for you. The tornado warning that was out in Carroll County, they're going to let that one expire.
Yep.
So makes sense. It's already out of the box. And we just got an update that the tornado warning for Central Hartford and Eastern Baltimore is canceled.
Good.
So right now, we do not have any current warnings in our area, but we are watching that one that is still confirmed, still moving on the ground, very dangerous situation out in Montgomery County, continuing to eye Howard County. So if you're in, of course, southern Howard County, get ready to get into your safe spot because it's moving closer to you. We'll let you know what happens. But Chris, both of the warnings that were currently in our area are canceled.
Okay, so that leaves us in a situation where we don't have an active tornado warning in our area. However, I want to stick with this just because this is a confirmed tornado and it's practically here already. I just want to stay on the air for folks that are out ahead of this system that get our signal. This is pretty much here. So let's just focus in on that storm. If you were in the tornado warning earlier, parts of Baltimore County, you're clear. Carroll County, you're clear. Everywhere else is okay. There's heavy rain for sure, strong winds. It's still enough to stay inside. But let me just see what happens with this storm system if they extend this tornado warning. It's very rare that we go from a confirmed tornado warning to just dropping it altogether. Usually there's another at least tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of this. So up front, the way the storm system's oriented, this is the rain shield. Everything inside here is heavy rain, maybe some small hail, and frequent lightning. That's not the strongest part of the storm. That typically builds out ahead of it. As Allie looks at our velocity product, the area we're really concerned about is showing up here where those greens and reds are getting a little bit closer together. And this isn't just radar indicated. We're not just using this tool. It was seen on a traffic camera as a tornado on the ground that has lofted debris up to 11,000 feet. So that's why we want to stick with this one because pretty much for Highland, North Laurel, Clarksville, even Dayton, albeit it's farther south. These are areas where I want you to start getting ready to activate your tornado plan, which is getting to the lowest level of your house and put walls between you and the outside as possible. You just want layers between you and this storm system. So this is moving off to the east, and what's been signature of the east is how slow they're moving. So the National Weather Service likely letting this go right up to the edge because, yes, the storm has crossed over the tornado warning, but the dangerous part of the storm is right here. And as this goes through its loop, Allie, if you could actually pause it, I'm happy to see that this is looking a little more ragged, thankfully not as defined, because if you go back a few frames, Allie, if you go into our radar analysis and just drag it back a few frames at a time, see how that starts to have that hook, that inflow there? Sort of wrapping around, and then as we bring it closer to our current time, see how we get closer to 8 p.m. here, starting to lift a little bit more. But these storms have been going through cycles. They'll spin up quick, and they'll lift, they could re-drop. That's been the case here tonight. So if that still looks like it is spinning, they're likely to issue a new tornado warning. If they don't, we'll get you back to regular programming. But I want to treat this like it's going to be reissued just because it is a confirmed tornado that has already had a history of doing damage.